Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Serve you right. Ella poked his tongue out at her. Serve her right for trying to mock Nicole. Emery pulled him aside, signaling Ella to not be so brazen in his act, but the latter ignored him anyway. At that moment, Snow heard everything and was left feeling extremely shocked. Such was why Nicole was being given the attention she had been receiving, and that was also why Uncle Daniel and his family would witness a meteoric rise in their fortune. With that said, there was no longer a place left for Uncle Damien or her parents in their ranks. She balled her hands into a fist. Even if Nicole had helped her out by retrieving her pink diamond, Snow was still extremely jealous, as the former had stolen her thunder, taking all of the attention away from her within the Riddle family. Yet, as far as she was concerned, she could watch as Nicole stood in the limelight. When she saw Harvey and Mr. Ellison handing their precious gifts to Nicole, as the former sported a cheeky look on his face, she had little choice but to believe the rumors with a heavy heart that felt as though it was being crushed with a boulder. Nicole had been standing there, receiving gifts for close to half an hour now. Her legs were feeling numb, and so was her jaw, which was still locked in a smile. Yet, Mr. Riddle Sr. continued to hold onto her tightly, not allowing her to leave. Mr. Riddle Sr. and her parents, on the other hand, were getting into the groove, and their smiles were growing brighter and brighter with each passing second. Witnessing this, Nicole could not help but flash them a smile out of joy. Regardless of what, the Riddle family has been restored to its former glory. Well, as long as Grandpa, Mom and Dad are happy, I guess. Just as she was thinking about that, a familiar voice suddenly blared out. "Congratulations, Nicole." Fiorella walked over as she mouthed her platitudes, though she was very jealous deep down. Every single person who was lining up to give Nicole gifts was among the creme de la creme of the elites in the country. Although the Fisher family was a distinguished family in San Giotto, their status did them little favors. Even in the gift-giving session alone, they were one of the last in the list. It took a fair while before it was their turn, and Fiorella, who was already nursing a grudge beforehand, could not help but to use a peculiar tone of voice when speaking to Nicole. Colton immediately pulled his daughter aside and said to Nicole, "Forgive my daughter's impudence, Miss Riddle. Here is my gift for you. I hope you'll like it." Colton had always had a regal air about him at the office and would stand tall whenever he conversed, even within the elite circles in San Giotto. Yet, it was a humiliating sight for him to be so self-effacing to Nicole today. "Dad, what are you doing?" Fiorella yelled, her expression changing as she felt that she had been embarrassed. Colton was deep in regret. He had been too busy lining up to give Nicole her gift moments ago that he had not given Fiorella a clear explanation as to what Nicole's current position was. He was really furious upon seeing how rude Fiorella was to Nicole. Unable to hold back anymore, Colton yelled, "Silence." He then grabbed Fiorella and pulled her aside, with Mrs. Fisher hurrying forward to put herself between Fiorella and Nicole, motioning to her daughter to stop talking. Nicole looked at Colton, and then at the incensed Fiorella, whereupon she subconsciously glanced at Jared. Jared noted the hint she was giving, and his expression changed to one indicating indulgence. The meaning of his gesture was clear. "Do as you please." Seeing that, Nicole turned back to Colton, and with her eyes beaming, she asked, "Thank you, but have we been acquainted before?" Colton Fisher was the head of the Fisher family, the president of the Fisher Group, and he was considered one of the most famous figures in San Giotto. It would have been fine if Nicole did not know him. After all, she had probably never met anyone who was present at the dinner event before. Yet, she was obviously trying to put him in the spot by querying him in front of everyone. However, it was his own daughter who had gone out of her way to irritate Nicole first, and with so many distinguished families present at the scene, Colton stifled his anger, not allowing his temper to flare up even if he wanted to. With this in mind, he responded with a smile. "Indeed, we've not met before, but I do know Mr. Riddle Sr. I'm the current chairman of the Fisher Group. If you have anything that you require, please feel free to contact me." Although Colton was introducing himself in a very humble manner, he was also attempting to regain some of his dignity through his act. Nicole flashed him a wry smile. "Ah, you're Miss Fiorella's father. I may not be familiar with you, but I'm very familiar with Ms. Fiorella, am I not? Nicole's eyes ranged over Mrs. Fisher and stopped at Fiorella, leaving both Colton and his wife stunned as they turned to their daughter. You know Ms. Riddle? Based on Mrs. Fisher's knowledge, her daughter had known of Nicole's name because of Nicole's engagement to Jared, not because of some bad blood. Since when the both of them acquainted with one another? Fiorella's expression soured by a little. As Nicole had humiliated her father before everyone, and she would now even the score. Somewhat, I guess. While Ms. Riddle was abroad, I was the one taking care of Jared when he was hospitalized, Fiorella blurted to everyone, wanting to take charge and control the narrative. Jared's expression changed at once. Fiorella, you sure have no situational awareness. I can't believe she actually revealed this to the public. By now, everyone could tell there was a storm brewing. Were these two love rivals? But, is Fiorella Fisher an idiot? Look who Nicole is now, and she still dares to grind her axe with the latter right in front of everyone here. Colton was terrified as his face blanched. Fiorella. When did this happen? Why didn't you tell me about this? If he had known that his daughter was after Nicole's man, he would never have brought her here today. Fiorella looked at her father's face, and while she felt that something was not right, she was far too aggrieved to bother with that, so she smiled and said, It's something between two adults fully capable of consent, so what is there to tell you? The moment Colton heard her wording her response in such a vague and shameless manner, he became so furious that he was on the verge of passing out due to how livid he was. You. Shut your mouth, right this instant. And just when everyone thought that Nicole would fly off the handle at being mocked like this, she looked at Fiorella quietly. I'm quite familiar with Ms. Fiorella. She has even given me quite the gift this morning, hasn't she? Nicole's gaze instantly became piercing. It was also so frosty that it was terrifying to look at. Fiorella's heart sank for a moment as she thought of the man she had hired. He has not replied to me yet, and his phone has been turned off. She had thought that the man had just fled with the money, but she totally had not expected Nicole to know about this. That means the guy must have struck, but he failed. As she thought about it, Fiorella's expression became grim. That useless piece of shit. He couldn't even take a woman out. Fiorella's eyes narrowed as she bitterly replied, Indeed, I've sent you a great gift, Ms. Riddle. You're welcome. There was nothing for her to hide. If she was unhappy, she would show everyone that she was indeed unhappy. Nicole was impressed by this trait of Fiorella's. She had the temerity to act on her words and bear the consequences of her actions. Looking at her, Nicole's smile grew even wider. It'll be rude to only be receiving gifts. Since you've given me a big one, let me return the favor. After that, Nicole whispered a few words in Alfred's ears, after which the latter left. Fiorella was perplexed. What are you trying to do? Everyone turned over, wanting to know what sort of gift Nicole would give to her in return. Yet, no one expected that the massive screen at the center of the Riddle residence hall would suddenly light up. Immediately after that, a video recording of a person being held down by the police began to play. Spare me, please. I really didn't do anything to that woman. I told you everything already. It's that Flynn Monroe guy from Fisher Group who had hired me to do this. But just as he was saying that, the police shoved him into their car and took him away. Nicole looked at the screen and darted Jared a glance. He would never allow someone who had dared to harm his fiancée get away with it that easily. Although she had freed the man, he had still called the cops on him. On top of that, Claus had obtained the recording, and so, Nicole used it to her advantage. The instant everyone had seen that which had happened on screen, all of them cast their grim gazes at Fiorella. So, the gift that this woman was musing about was hiring someone to kill Nicole? And she dared to admit it so boldly? Is this woman out of her mind? One of the folks in the crowd thought. Fiorella had failed to anticipate that the man had not only failed in his assault, but had also been caught in the process. The cherry on top of it all was, he had even sold her out. Hiring someone to harm another person is a crime that carries prison time. In spite of it all, Fiorella did not back down. So that was why the person I've sent did not reply to me. Turns out that you're already waiting for me here. Ms. Riddle. What a schemer. Indeed, she actually had the nerve to bark back with a snide remark. At this moment, Colton, who had already had enough of his daughter's antics, raised his hand and slapped her. "Shut up." Fiorella, who had never been beaten by her father before, suddenly took a slap to the face and was sent tumbling onto the floor. The impact of her father's slap was so strong that her ears were left ringing as blood seeped out of the corner of her lips. "I was speaking up for Dad. I was standing up to him for the honor of the Fishers. Why the hell did Dad hit me?" She seethed. "You hit me, Dad?" Fiorella looked at Colton in shock. She had never seen her father with such a menacing look on his face. "The person I'm hitting is a foolish, pig-headed daughter. You dare to attack Ms. Nicole? Have you grown tired of living?" he bellowed. Fiorella's actions might very well have made the Fisher family enemies of the Riddle family along with all of the other great families present. Indeed, she was extremely, extremely foolish to have done what she did. Why can't I screw with her? She's just the daughter of a third-rate family who picked her up from the streets. How is she comparable to me? Fiorella argued. Jared being not attracted to her notwithstanding, she could not understand why her own father too was defending Nicole before everyone else. What sort of charm has this vixen cast on everyone here? She thought. "Miss Fisher, I think you got it backward. How are you comparable to Nicole?" At that moment, Preston stepped forward to defend Nicole's honor, no longer willing to see her being picked on. He did not know back then, but now that Nicole was the bearer of the fire crest, he too would get to bask in its glory. Therefore, there was no way he would allow anyone to screw with his cousin's sister. "That's right. Who do you think you are? Comparing yourself to Nicole?" Ella said, stepping forward to defend Nicole too. The rest of Nicole's brothers and cousins then stepped forth to defend her too. Sean looked down at Fiorella from up high, and said, "It matters not whether you are the daughter of the Fisher family, or the vice president of the Fisher group. If you dare harm my sister, the Riddle family will not just roll over and take it lying down. You sure don't know your place. You're just a Fisher and you think the Riddles are people you can simply trifle with." Steve glared at Colton. Fiorella sat on the ground, looking a little confused. Are the Riddle brothers out of their minds or what? They are willing to antagonize the Fisher family just to defend Nicole. What was even stranger was that Colton was apologizing to Sean and Steve. "Ms. Nicole, Mr. Sean and Mr. Steve, please stay calm. My daughter only did what she did out of impulse. Since Ms. Nicole is unharmed, please let my daughter go," he pleaded. Even though Mrs. Fisher had no idea as to what was going on, she immediately apologized to him after her husband. "Yes. It's my daughter's naivety and ignorance that led her to assault Ms. Nicole. It is my failure as a mother that I didn't raise her right. I apologize on her behalf." "Dad, Mom, are you guys insane?" Fiorella yelled. "Nicole is just a daughter of the Riddle family. Why must my parents lick her boots? Why would they forsake the honor of the Fisher family?" "Shut up." Colton glared at her. "If you dare utter another word, I'll see to it that I no longer have a daughter by the name of Fiorella Fisher." He was done holding back against that imbecile of a daughter of his running her mouth. If the old man back was to find out what she had done back home, she would be expelled from the family. Fiorella had not expected that her father would sever his relationship with her just because of Nicole. The hatred in her heart reached its boiling point as she screamed and got up. "You dare to humiliate me and my family. Die." As she yelled, she grabbed one of the steak knives on the table and charged at Nicole. "No." Colton and Mrs. Fisher screamed, but it was already too late. Nicole's eyes became frosty. She really does not know her limits. Hell, she's even charging at me. However, before Fiorella could even get close to her, Samuel tackled the former and tossed her onto the ground before folding her arms behind her back. "Think you can hurt my little sister? Over my dead body." Spencer then stepped forward to hold her down. Nicole could not help the warm feeling within as she saw her brothers stepping up for her. Both Samuel and Spencer had never learned any martial arts and yet, neither of them hesitated to protect her. "Oh, these stooges." she thought as a surge of warmth radiated in her heart. Being cared for by her elder brothers like this sure felt nice. Meanwhile, Jared was already feeling extremely sullen as he looked at Colton. "Mr. Fisher, do you still think that your daughter is acting out of impulse?" At this point, it was utter madness for an adult to strike at a high schooler right in front of everyone. Madness. It seemed that Fiorella's parents had indulged her far too much to the point of incorrigibility. "Mr. Johnston, Colton's face became pale as sheet, fearful and at a loss on what to do. "Let me go." Fiorella was still screaming. Jared looked at her imposingly. "Miss Fisher, I could turn a blind eye to how persistent you were at bothering me, but now that you've hired someone to harm a person I care about, I will not be blamed for being tough on you." After he had said that, Max walked in with a few police officers who were already standing by. "Take her to the station," Jared ordered. "Got it." Max nodded and said to the police, "Officers, if you will." Several police officers immediately stepped forward to arrest her. Seeing that her daughter was about to be taken away, Mrs. Fisher held onto Fiorella as she looked at Colton. "Dear, save our daughter." Colton too was looking at Fiorella, seemingly at a loss, with no one knowing what he was thinking. Jared simply let out a sneer. "Mr. Fisher, I implore you to think about the consequences. Will you be able to survive if you make an enemy out of the Johnston group?" That sentence sent a chill down Colton's spine. "If I am to defend Fiorella now, I won't just be crossing the Johnston family. I'll also be crossing all of the families that are bound by oath to the Riddles," he thought. Gritting his teeth, he had to arrive at a final decision for the well-being of his family. "It is her own obstinacy, and it has nothing to do with me. From today onwards, she is no longer my daughter, and she is no longer a daughter of the Fisher family, nor is she the vice president of Fisher Group." His voice thundered across the room. Fiorella only felt her mind blank. What does that mean? Is Dad really going to sever our father-daughter relationship? And is he also kicking me out of the house? And stripping me of the position of vice president? How can that be? Dad, why would you do this to me? I'm just protecting our family's honor. Why must you do this to me? She cried. Not only did he not protect her, he even disowned her and evicted her from her home. What happened to the father who had always loved me? Why is the entire world protecting Nicole? Fiorella thought, feeling that she was about to lose her mind. Mrs. Fisher too was taken aback at this moment, as she did not expect her husband to be so merciless toward his own daughter. But before she could even react, the police had already cuffed Fiorella and were taking her away. "Let me go. Let me go. Do you know who I am?" Having her pride ripped to shreds before everyone here, Fiorella was almost about to lose her sanity. She had never thought that such a thing would happen to her. Fiorella. Fiorella. Seeing her daughter in the state she was in, Mrs. Fisher could not help but burst into tears. Of the 3 members of the Fishers, only Colton was left at this moment. His face was pale as sheet with cold sweat beading his forehead, looking as though he no longer knew what to do. Seeing this, Nicole said to Colton, "Thank you for your thoughtful gift, Mr. Fisher. Don't worry, I'm not that sort of person. I won't purposefully put a target on the Fisher group just because of Fiorella." As Colton had finally found amnesty, he quickly wiped the sweat off his head away and said, "Thank you, Miss Riddle." However, even then, everyone was still giving the Fishers hostile looks. Sensing that he could not stay here any longer, he said, "Ms. Riddle, I've delivered my gift, but I'm quite exhausted now. So I'll take my leave first and pay you another visit next time." "You're welcome." Nicole nodded, not wanting to keep him around any longer. Upon hearing that, Colton hurriedly left. And following his exit, the entire fiasco ended. Then, Mr. Riddle Sr. stood up and said, "Let's put that unsightly scene behind us. Today, the Riddle family have prepared a feast for everyone. Please enjoy." Everyone looked away as soon as they heard that and began to have their desserts. Mr. Riddle Sr. then hurriedly said to Daniel, Sean, and the rest, "Go tend to our guests. Grab any opportunity that can be of use to us." Now that he could use Nicole's prestige, and with the fact that he could now cooperate with these great families, Mr. Riddle Sr. naturally did not want to pass on the opportunity. All right. Daniel, Sean and Steve immediately left. Damien, standing by the side, was extremely envious. Dad, I'll go help out as well. Noticing how enthusiastic Damien was, Mr. Riddle Sr. knew that everyone present only wished to talk to Nicole's parents and siblings, but he nodded nonetheless. Remember to introduce yourself as Nicole's uncle when you head over there. Damien was taken aback and could not suppress the curiosity within him as he whispered, Dad, what's going on? Why do I even have to mention Nicole? He was next in line for the position of the patriarch of the family, and he was also the heir to the company for the longest time, so it made little sense to him as to why he too had to use his niece's name to get ahead with the guests. Realizing that Damien, Dylan and their wives were staring at him, Mr. Riddle Sr. could not help but to say, Nicole is now the Hurriter of the Fire Crest. The Fire Crest? The four of them were stunned. Karen and Miley had no idea about this, but the Rogers family too was an ancient family, so she had an inkling as to what it was, but she could not put a finger on where she had seen the name, Fire Crest. In the end, it was Damien who was the first to recall it. Dad, you mean the Fire Crest of the 5 crests of the Rebbe family in the preface of our family's genealogy. The moment Damien had stated it, Dylan too began to remember. The Rebbe family crest? It can't be right. That thing actually exists in this world. And Nicole got her hands on it. According to legends, it was a treasure that could bestow upon its bearer command all of the great ancient families. Yes. Mr. Riddle Sr. said, suppressing the excitement within as he tried his best to put on a calm front. Go then. Hurry up. Take the opportunity to find out those who still wish to cooperate with us, as well as those who no longer wish to act in accordance with their ancestors' wishes. After all, some of the great families had long since vanished without a trace. Some of the families had lost their genealogies, and while some of the other families might still have them, their descendants or heirs might not be willing to subject themselves to another. Such was why Mr. Riddle Sr. needed to be sure. I got it. Damien said in disbelief, and though he stumbled, he hurriedly left nonetheless. Dylan, on the other hand, was wearing a grim expression on his face as he stared at Daniel with envy. What the hell is with Daniel's luck? He thought. The daughter he had adopted isn't just a scholar. She also knows medicine, and is in good terms with Governor Wyance. And now, she even got her hands on the Fire Crest. Looks like from now on, Daniel's side of the family will be at the forefront, while both Damien and I would have to stand aside. Noticing that Dylan was still standing there in a daze, Mr. Riddle Sr. could not help but to urge him. What are you doing, just standing there? Even Dexter had already gone off to help, so stop lollygagging. These two are not as skilled as Dexter when it comes to reading the room. Dexter had already brought his sons out to greet the guests, and that too without even asking, Mr. Riddle Sr. thought. Got it. Dylan snapped back to reality and pulled Karen over, so that they could get their children to greet the guests right away. Meanwhile, Preston was already in the groove, and Edwin, using Preston's name, got in touch with a few online merchants they had long planned to cooperate with. Everyone in the Riddle family were extremely busy. Many more had initially wanted to hold extended conversations with Nicole, but Jared's gaze scared them all away. Then, Jared tenderly turned to Nicole, who had been standing for close to an hour now. Do they hurt? Noting Jared's look of concern, Nicole smiled. Of course, but I cannot be stepping away to catch my break now, can I? Out the blue, Jared suddenly grabbed, holding her waist tight against him and propping her up by a slight bit, thus easing the stress off of them. She was wearing a long skirt that covered her feet, and because of this, others could not see that her feet were close to being off the ground. Nicole could feel his body against hers, and felt that the two of them were being given strange stares by everyone who were present. Let me go, she whispered in admonition, though her voice sounded more like a playful squeak. If you resist, just understand that I won't mind carrying you up altogether, Jared replied. Don't you dare. Nicole glared at him. Gosh, why is this guy so brazen? Holding her up, Jared quickly brought her to where Mr. Riddle Sr. and Mr. Johnston Sr. were seated and quickly sat down. Mr. Johnston Sr. saw the two sitting down and broke into a smile. "The two of you sure are glued together." Nicole blushed in awkwardness at being teased by Mr. Johnston Sr. in that manner. Yet, Jared proceeded to react by flashing a playful smile. "Of course. There are so many wolves out here. I've got to keep an eye on her." It was then that Nicole noticed that many rich scions were all looking at her. "Still, they might not be harboring any sort of intentions with me, right? Can you not see green for no good reason?" She rolled her eyes at Jared, thinking that he was just being way too imaginative. Jared curled his lips as he said, "Well, as far as you're concerned, it's impossible for me to not see green." His words were so bold and brazen that he had made Nicole feel embarrassed. "Shut up." Jared smiled playfully. He loved Nicole's bashful look like this. He looked at the people who were present, as Mr. Johnston Sr. was surrounded by guests, happily greeting some of the members of the elite families. He then turned to Nicole. "Seems like I'll have an easy life ahead." Hearing this, Nicole issued a sigh. "Can you stop patronizing me?" Despite the fact that she knew what Jared was capable of doing, she believed that what she had witnessed was not the full extent of his capabilities. "I'll cut myself off that system sooner or later," she said. Once she had discovered the person behind this and resolved the crisis, she would never not wish to lay a finger on the Rebbe family crest ever again. "If you want, you can just leave it be. I'll protect you," Jared's offered with a look of determination in his eyes. Nicole's heart skipped a beat. She knew all too well that Jared was being serious. "But I don't want to be the center of attention of these people for my entire life," she argued. Even as she looked at the crowd inside the residence, Nicole could feel that her head was about to explode. She would definitely lose her mind if she was to mingle with these people for the rest of her life. A wry smile crossed Jared's face. "Many have their eyes on the power and the benefits that come with this crest. You are the only one who is not concerned about it at all." "I don't need another person's power to make me stronger. I just hope that they don't end up being used by people with sinister intent," she replied flatly. Jared's love for her grew even stronger upon observing her righteous demeanor. The two then rested as they took sips of red wine. Suddenly, a wave of whispers emanated from the front door, prompting Nicole to glance over, and that was when she saw Chloe. The moment Uncle Damien and Aunt Miley brought her back yesterday, she had already figured that they were not happy with the fact that Chloe's name had been removed from the family register. And so, they brought Chloe back the instant they found out that Mr. Riddle Sr. was ill. However, she did not anticipate that Nicole would so brazenly make an appearance during such an important occasion today. Mr. Riddle Sr. would definitely be furious at the sight. And sure enough, Mr. Riddle Sr.'s expression darkened as soon as he saw her. He immediately looked at Damien and Miley as he grumbled, "What's the meaning of this? Why did you bring her here?" Seeing the granddaughter who had already been struck off the family register at present made Mr. Riddle Sr. very angry as a grimace crossed his face. Noticing this, Miley immediately put on an act meant to elicit pity. "Dad, you were suddenly sick 2 days ago and we did not know what was happening, so we thought." Damien glared at her, shutting Miley up, before he took charge of the conversation. "It was just that, if anything were to happen to you, we can't have Chloe not being able to see you for one last time. In view of that, I brought her back. Besides, it's our family banquet today, and I was afraid that someone might ask about her." What a clever way to put things, as if everything they are doing is for the honor of the Riddle family, Nicole observed. However, Nicole also knew that Mr. Riddle Sr. did not want to air his dirty laundry to the public, and so, he would definitely not disown this granddaughter of his before everyone here. At that moment, Mr. Riddle Sr. could only suppress his rage as he watched Chloe walking up to him. Noticing that Mr. Riddle Sr. had not flown off the handle, Chloe knew that her parents' plan must have worked. With that in mind, she quickly put on the mask of a filial granddaughter. "Grandpa." She came up to Mr. Riddle Sr. and her eyes immediately reddened. "It's good to see you in great health." Mr. Riddle Sr. did not want outsiders to find out about the drama pertaining to his family, and thus, he could only say, "Stop crying. Since you're already here, go out there and entertain the guests." Elated, Chloe immediately replied, "Thank you, Grandpa." Nicole could not resist from staring at Damien and Dylan. Her uncles were no fools and had taken this opportunity to bring Chloe back. After today, Mr. Riddle Sr. would probably mellow down. Chloe was, after all, still a star actress in the entertainment circle, and although she had been placed in the back burner during this period of time, she was still recognized by many and was quickly surrounded by those who did. Seeing that Chloe was still of some value to the Riddle family, Mr. Riddle Sr. could not say much, but the instant he saw Nicole staring at Chloe, he came up to Nicole's side. "Nicole, you won't be blaming Grandpa for this, right?" he asked. He knew very well that he was too soft-hearted and too concerned about the honor of the family. "I won't," Nicole said. After all, no grandfather would be so merciless and unforgiving toward their own granddaughters. Nicole had already expected that Mr. Riddle Sr. would not ignore her plight should she get herself into trouble now or later, given his kindness. "Grandpa, I just want you to be happy," she continued. After all, aside from her parents and her siblings, Mr. Riddle Sr. was the one Nicole cared the most about within the family. Mr. Riddle Sr. gave Nicole a look as if to tell her that he was touched by her words. He knew that she was a really sensible and understanding person, and he could hardly express the warmth in his heart. It was then that more people came over to strike a conversation with Mr. Riddle Sr., while others approached Jared, wishing to have a chat with him. Nicole was almost done resting, and through her periphery, she saw Lloyd walking to the balcony to drink and drown his sorrows. His gaze was fixed on her as she was doing so. She pondered for a moment. Although she really did not want to have anything more to do with him, he might be the only person who could find out about a certain something for her. After all, the Holder family's network of information was the most extensive. The Holder could prosper for so many years without getting involved in any major industries due to their monopoly of the exclusive information of many great families. The fact that they had all of the dirt on these families made them nigh untouchable. Their network spanned across various nations and was second only to the Interpol in terms of significance and resources. Now that she had left the Interpol, he was her only option if she wanted to get some information about the black market or even the dark web. Thinking about this, she slowly got up and walked to the corner. Even though everyone present wanted to talk to her, they decided not to approach her upon seeing that she had gone off to the balcony, thinking that she wanted to get some fresh air. Only Lloyd knew that Nicole was walking toward him, and with this in mind, his heart began racing. He had finally found the girl who had saved him so many years back. However, because of Harvey's deliberate obfuscation, he did not recognize her, and due to the fact that his family had kept this matter hidden from him, he had only just learned that the reason Jared was standing with her was because they were engaged. At that moment, he began to hate himself for having listened to his mother and flying off for his movie abroad. Had he not done that, he would have stood a chance, as slim as the chance was. Though she was already standing before him, Lloyd was still looking at her in a stupor. Nicole could not help but ask, "Is there something on my face?" It was only then that Lloyd snapped back to reality, and he cleared his throat with a look of distress on his face before asking her the question he had meant to ask. "Why didn't you tell me that you've gotten engaged?" Nicole raised an eyebrow. "It's because we are not even friends, I suppose." As per the rules of the organization, whenever anyone left the organization, they should part ways regardless of who they were. Should they meet again in the future, they would be compelled to act as if they did not know one another, even if the person was their erstwhile partner. Yet, Lloyd was left wounded by this remark. They had fought side by side together before, and just because he had been taken home by the Holder family before he parted ways with Nicole, it did not mean that their connection meant nothing to him. At this moment, he could not help but to beat himself up for it. If he had not ran home just because he was unable to withstand the pressure, he might very well be the person standing beside Nicole today. "We are indeed not even friends." Berating himself, Lloyd lifted his glass and took a swig. Seeing this, Nicole could only issue a sigh. Why is Lloyd so obsessed with our relationship? "Lloyd, you should know the organization's rules. Whether it's the Interpol or Zane's organization, the rules are all the same. We have never met before, and now, we're meeting for the first time." Nicole's words were clear and concise. However, it was then that a gleam appeared in Lloyd's eyes. "That means, we can start over again, right?" Frustrated with him, she thought, "Do I need to spell everything out for him just so he would get it?" Taking a deep breath, Nicole proffered her hand. "Greetings, I'm Nicole Riddle." Lloyd looked at Nicole's outstretched hand and was delighted. He had not think that Nicole had meant this when she had rejected him time and time again back then. "I'm such a fool, to think that I called her S before everyone." Finally understanding Nicole's intentions, Lloyd stretched his hand out. "Hello, I'm Lloyd Holder." The two tacitly knew that they were starting over again. Everything that had happened prior was nothing but a dream in a life long gone. "Hello, Mr. Holder. I've come to you with a business proposal." Even though they were partners before this, Nicole was still intent on drawing that line, and though she needed his help, she did not want to owe him a favor. "A business proposal? Just tell me what you need done," Lloyd said, not liking Nicole's rather distant and formal tone. She sighed. "It is a business proposal. If you do not agree to it, there's no reason for me to tell you." "You..." Lloyd panicked a little before letting out a sigh. I get it. I'll agree to that. But I'll have to ask, what sort of business are we doing?" "Sure." Nicole agreed, knowing that she could do whatever Lloyd wanted her to do. "In that case, I'll cut to the chase." She did not want to draw attention to herself, so she thought of getting this done as quickly as possible. Noticing how serious Nicole was, Lloyd responded in kind. "Okay." Zane's organization had lost a group of braves at Lanningborg. The ship carrying them went missing after it had entered the high seas. "I need someone from the black market and the dark web to look for clues of its whereabouts," Nicole stated candidly. Lloyd was stunned. Only a few in San Giotto knew about the Holder family's relationship with the black market and the dark web. How long has Nicole been in San Giotto? How did she know of our relationship with the black market? He thought. Noting Lloyd keeping silent, Nicole raised her eyebrow. "Are there any difficulties?" "This should be easy enough for the Holder family." As expected, Lloyd shook his head. "It won't be difficult, but I'm just curious, how did you learn of my family's connection with the members of the dark web?" Nicole shot him a glance and replied, "The Holder family is well known among the hunters." Lloyd was taken aback. "You're a hunter?" The hunters were something of a guild for hackers, he thought. Only professionals could crack the URL to enter the website and create an account. "Nicole's a hunter." "I'm Lucifer." Nicole swirled her glass of wine, her eyes wild. Lloyd suddenly trembled as his eyes began darting. "You're Lucifer." The Holders are all too famous. Lucifer is a hacker who has helped the Holder family in dealing with several major crises. If she really is Lucifer, she must also know about the Holders' underground transactions. But what I didn't see coming was that after Nicole had left Interpol and allied herself with Zane Spears, she had become a hacker herself. What is she not capable of? He thought. Nicole caught sight of Lloyd's expression of disbelief as she took a sip of her red wine. "I've already revealed my identity. There's no need for you to hide anything anymore." Lloyd breathed a long and deep sigh. "I was beginning to wonder why you weren't surprised by the fact that I'm here. I'm not sure what you were up to all these years, but I'm sure you know that I've always been in San Giotto, right?" Nicole did not deny. "Yes." In response, Lloyd drew a deep breath. "Forget it, I'll help you out and dig out as much as I can about this matter, but once things have reached the black market, it'll be difficult for me to investigate any further. I'm just worried that it'll need more time." Nicole nodded her head. "I know. Here, these are the information you'll need." She then reached out and handed the flash drive over to Lloyd. "As a hacker, all the clues I could find have been handed over to Lloyd. I hope that it'll be of great help to him," she thought. Lloyd immediately placed the flash drive away carefully. "Understood. I will update you once there's news." Nicole nodded. "I've already told you about me. Now, tell me how I can return the favor." "Initially, I wanted to do something for him, but since he has an idea to propose, I might as well let him have at it," she thought. Lloyd looked at Nicole. "Elle don't need anything at all, and I do not want her to do anything for me. All I want is to spend more time with her. Even though she's Jared's fiancée, I still stand a chance as long as they aren't married. Lloyd stood there, frozen, lost in his thoughts before replying, I don't need anything, and I don't need you to do anything for me either. But if there's anything I need help with, it is directing my mother's new drama. Nicole frowned. I'm afraid I can't help you with the matters in the entertainment industry. If I could, I would become a character in the play and make a deal with him. But compared to curing the sick, which is something I could handle easily, the entertainment industry is something I'm not quite familiar with, she pondered. Yes, you can help me out. We still need an actress for the role of the heroine in this drama. Will you fill that role? Lloyd asked, his eyes blazing with determination as he had a lot of faith in Nicole's skills. Nicole frowned. You're telling me that you can't find a single actress in the entire industry who is suitable for the role and you'd let me, an amateur, act? Lloyd hesitated for a while before confidently saying, I showed my agent your contact details. She also thinks that you'd be a great fit for the role. It's just acting. Besides, when you look back at it years after, you'll realize that it was a good experience. Lloyd's words left Nicole dumbfounded. I used to act, but only as an undercover agent to complete my mission. Though my acting skills were passable, the thought of utilizing my skills for this very purpose makes me very uncomfortable. How else could I have become the best actor? Lloyd laughed at himself shamelessly. After he had left the organization, he realized that he knew very little, and was good at nothing except killing and deceiving people. Thus, he ended up venturing into the entertainment industry. Nicole was left taken aback by Lloyd's words. You really are remarkable. I can't believe that he's got me sold on this, she thought. Well, since it's not too difficult, I'll do it, she agreed. I guess I'll just do it, as I don't like to owe anybody any favors. Besides, it's just a role in a drama. I'm already used to getting into real life and death situations with real swords and guns, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I guess the entertainment industry won't pose much of a challenge for me, she concluded. You agree to it? Lloyd asked, surprised as he did not expect Nicole to agree to play the role.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.